By the chance that you're watching this FMU, you most likely have received an up in proficiency, or maybe you've received a promotion, or maybe you're even a newly minted LEC in our squadron. Either way, with the mix of pride and joy, you now also realize you have the dreaded task of sewing. But in this FMU, I'm going to show you some tips and tricks to make sewing a little easier. So further ado, hi, I'm Josh, and this is your FMU for sewing. Before we get started into the actual sewing process, let's cover our kit first. So of course, first off, you're going to need a kit, though any sort of baggie will work. So, you are obviously going to need your thread. Make sure it matches the outside border of your patch or patches. A seam ripper in case you mess up or need to remove any patches for replacement. A sewing needle, and you can find kits commonly in this that vary in size. Some scissors, and a couple small little pins. In the FMU, I'm going to be replacing my level of proficiency badge, though if you don't have the knowledge on where to place any of the badges on your tunic, you can refer to the Cadet handbook, which will be linked below. To thread your needle, you want to simply get the tip a little bit wet and stick it through the eye. This is a very tedious process and usually requires multiple tries. Now you want to follow the 1/3, 2/3 rule, where you want to have 1/3 on one side of the needle and then 2/3 size on this side of the needle. Now of course, there is going to be a variance in the size of thread depending on the patch you use. Just always remember it's better to have way more than way less. And also, now to tie off the knot, you simply want to get your fingers a little wet with some saliva, grab the end, wrap it around your finger twice, and then you want to roll this part off your finger, and you just want to pull that loop, and that will cinch off with a knot. There you go. Make sure to start sewing from the bottom under your sleeve just so that knot is covered. Always make sure to be safe not to prick your finger. It is to note that you should pin down your patches with some straight pins. That way you make sure they're in place. If you can't get a person to help you do it with you wearing your tunic, which is a huge help, just be sure to check it in the mirror and make sure it looks straight. Also make sure your pockets aren't rippling. It is to note that when stitching, always make short, small stitches about 2 millimeters in length and about 1.5 millimeters in distance away from each other, not big long ones or ones with big distance in front of them. Also, make sure to follow along the thick blue border. That way your stitches get hidden and you don't see those big pockets and it looks a lot better. Make sure to always be going up and then down your stitches, not around the border. That way your stitches don't show. Now that we've successfully sewn all around the patch, we need to tie it off so our stitching doesn't come undone. So you find your first stitch and you simply go under the stitch with your needle, pull it out, and then you will notice you have a small loop here. You simply stick your needle through that loop and you pull. And you do this 3 times over. And now you're fully tied off. You just simply grab your scissors, cut it. And that is a successfully sewn on badge. In conclusion, if you can take one big thing away from this video, badge placement. Make sure to check the handbook so you have your sewing in the right spot and done well. Because if it's not, and it's not to standard, we will grab seam rippers at flight nights and we will rip off your patches. So, to save yourself the strife and the drama and the trouble, just do it right the first time. But, in conclusion, I'm Josh, and this has been your FMU for sewing.